David's now, he brought in Venom.
Yep.
And
greatest comic book character ever.
Highly debatable. But go on.
Do you really? Well, actually, that depends on which one. So, anyways, about maybe, I think it was the end of last summer, I went to Square One and acquired literally what I could say was the very first volume I ever bought, and it was Venom. Now, the interesting thing about this one, it's not like the evil, holy fuck, I'm gonna fuck up your life Venom. This is like completely different, total redo. It's Flash Thompson now. For those
why don't they show it on the cover that it's Flash Thompson?
Yeah, that's really what I really wanted to like question, because the thing is that's the guy who actually is Venom. That nothing like this. He has his moments where he flips out and that happens, but he's really just a guy in Black Ops armor, I could literally say. But
I know the book that you have, Carnage USA.
He's in it.
He's in that as a...
I actually didn't know he was in that until I read it.
But let's talk about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways. So for those who don't know, Flash Thompson was the guy who pretty much bullied Peter Parker in his high school years. Well, after that, after the high school ended, Flash kind of decided, because, you know, Spider-Man being his biggest influence, went to Iraq, fought, lost his legs, and then was given a chance when he came back to acquire the symbiote, Venom symbiote. Who other than to get the superpowers of a Spider than Spider-Man's biggest fan?
Yeah.
The suit,
and so instead of the suit, like, you know, possessing him to make him do bad, it's just in this case, I guess in this iteration, you know, the suit, you know, enhances his powers. I guess gave him the ability to walk again.
Yep.
Regrew
his legs.
He's good. Does he side with Spider-Man? Is that what happens?
Well, no, actually, interesting, in this one, in the first volume, he actually fights Spider-Man, who actually thinks it's just regular Venom, but it's actually after he freaks out and turns into that. And then, yeah, they have this big fight. But the thing is at this time, the funny thing about that I find it kind of ironic is that Peter Parker and Flash Thompson, they both have their own persona, be Spider-Man and Venom. They actually are best friends, and they actually, like, hang out a lot. So I found that funny that they keep doing that.
See, it's weird because they brought that up at, like, near the end of Amazing Spider-Man, where Flash Thompson, he was bullying Peter throughout the movie. And then at the end of the movie, after, I think it was after his uncle died, he, like, stopped bullying him. And
they were cool. And then, like, he was like, oh yeah, I'm Spider-Man's biggest fan.
See, the thing is, I think they might send Flash Thompson down that road.
Because
he comes out at the end of the movie like wearing like a Spider-Man shirt, and he's saying like how much of a fan he is of him.
It would have to be, you know, after, because they haven't graduated high school yet.
Yep. No. It'd have to be at least maybe.
It would have to be in a spin-off movie. Because
well, weren't they doing talks about actually doing a Venom film?
They have been for years, and they were gonna do it with Topher Grace from like the third Spider-Man.
Oh no! Please,
which would have been bad because then it's like, you know, what are you gonna do with him? You already did his poorly done origin story in Spider-Man.
Why don't they do something like I don't know, maybe after the third, because I'm taking a wild guess here that they do a third Amazing Spider-Man. That in that one they do Scorpion, and then after that. I keep messing up the guy's name.
Mac Gargan.
Sorry, Mac Gargan when he gets the symbiote, and then goes on his evil shit fest. And then after that is when they gave it to Flash Thompson.
In the movies, they've been debating, you know, Harry Osborn getting it. They've been teasing that. He gets it in the Ultimate version of the Spider-Man comic.
I know, but the thing is, for me, Harry Osborn will always be the Hobgoblin.
Is that what he was in the comics?
I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure he become in a bunch of different.
I thought he just became like a second Green Goblin, like after his dad died. Well,
there's so many different I read the Marvel Wiki a lot, and there's like so many different paths that he's taken. Shut up. There's so many different paths that they took him. He was Venom in one. He was the Hobgoblin in another. He was the second Green Goblin in another. So there's really no telling where they might take it with.
Because if they do decide, okay, well, maybe Harry Osborn's going to be it, I think Venom, you know, for Flash Thompson might come, like, after that movie's done, like, after Harry's lost the symbiote.
Yeah.
And then, you know...
That'd be really
I don't know, is it the government that has the symbiote?
Yeah, it's for those who, because probably you guys don't keep up to date with this like I do, but before this, there was the Siege event, there was the Siege event, which at that time, Mac Gargan had the symbiote, and then Spider-Man and, what's her name?
Mary Jane?
No, Miss Marvel basically beat the living shit out of Venom, and then the symbiote abandoned Mac, and after Asgard crashed into the American countryside, and then the government took
the whole thing of Asgard crashed into the Earth.
There was 9 levels of Asgard.
Asgard itself is actually basically a giant floating fortress of technology, and
I think it's 9 levels, not 9 levels of Asgard.
Are you sure?
9 levels of hell, you
It's 9. No, it's 9 realms.
Oh yeah.
Well, anyways, okay, because the whole point of that, why it crashed, was because not Harry. What's his name? I keep forgetting it.
Mac Gargan?
No, Harry Osborn's dad.
Norman
Osborn created the Dark Avengers, who took Hammer, which was his kind of like shield, and attacked Asgard. And then while Asgard's defenses were down, and then Asgard eventually crashed into the Earth. And then the government scooped it up and started Project Rebirth, which begun the whole Venom.
Well, see, they wouldn't be able to do all of that, because for one, Thor is owned by Marvel, and I believe Spider-Man's still owned by Sony. They can't cross those universes yet because they're not owned by the same people. Oh. And Spider-Man would obviously have to cut corners to be able to get Flash Thompson as Venom, or do it their own way. They'd have to skip over Harry Osborn and be like, okay, well, Flash Thompson gets it.
Well, I mean, come on, it's movies. With movies, they never go canon. They never do. Like, Avengers wasn't even canon.
Yeah.
Basically,
they try to modernize it, or
exactly. They try to do their own interpretation of it.
Yeah.
And then most of the time, sometimes it does good, sometimes it doesn't. This, literally, I will bust a nut if they fuck up the Flash Thompson Venom saga. Because honestly, he's probably, besides Eddie Brock, probably my favorite host of the symbiote.
How many people have been Venom? There's Eddie Brock, there's Flash Thompson, and just Mac Gargan?
There's actually, I believe there's 2 more. There's a chick, and there's somebody else. But I don't remember the other.
There's also different versions of the symbiote, too.
No, I mean just Venom.
There's Toxin, there's Carnage, and there's all them. But yeah, Venom is my favorite. Flash Thompson is my favorite because they literally gave him such this incredible backstory that, because the whole thing about the symbiote is that it feeds on your anger, your fear, and all that. And Flash Thompson was heavily abused by his drunken alcoholic father, who was a cop somehow, and he beat him up a lot.
Corrupted,
and literally, because of all that, Flash had to deal with his own alcoholism, and it constantly eats at him, which actually constantly feeds the symbiote into coaxing him into doing all sorts of crazy shit and freakouts that end up turning him into the monstrous Venom we all know and love.
So I'm surprised he didn't become a villain.
He's more of an anti-hero.
Yeah.
He actually, there was a scene that I found pretty grotesque where he actually took a guy who ran down in a tank, who took down a mother and her child while they were trying to run away. He pretty much ripped the guy up from his tank, broke both his hands, and then basically just started slashing the shit out of him until he ripped his head off with his mouth.
Nice. Didn't the original Venom kind of call himself like a defender of the innocent, though? He didn't really go after like specific people unless they were tied to Spider-Man.
Well, there was actually an entirely different Venom series that came before this, where it was actually Eddie Brock, and it was called Lethal Protector, I think it was called. And it was basically him in San Francisco just doing what Spider-Man did, but really violently. Ripping people in half, all sorts of things. Interesting thing about like all the grotesque.
What use is a person when they're ripped in half?
They actually speak like when you get to all those parts, they actually picked a great illustrator and artist for us. They picked Tony Moore, and for those who don't know who Tony Moore is, he was the same guy who illustrated the Walking Dead comic book series.
Oh, I can see it. Yeah, I can see it. Because I know. No. Because
just the way that like they show like the grotesque parts of people being cut up and whatnot, when the Crime Master's goons are getting cut up and shit, it's just like, holy hell, only Tony Moore could do something like that.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people in my class that are fans of The Walking Dead, and they've brought in comic books of it, and I've seen like the work.
Was Walking Dead black and white or?
No.
It was the original Walking Dead comic. I remember it pretty well being in black and white, which is
Spider-Man.
Yeah, and then they fight.
Oh. Well, it's probably before he became all like anti-hero and shit. They probably came to some sort of agreement. They were like, "Oh, we're cool."
Yeah, and I've been following the series up. I followed it from that one all the way up to Minimum Carnage, which is when the Scarlet Spider and Venom team up to take down Carnage in the Macroverse.
I have one more question before we go on to our next topic.
Sure.
Actually, so Flash Thompson has the symbiote.
Yep.
Does that mean he knows that Spider-Man is Peter Parker?
Actually, I was thinking that at one point they bring this up in the series, but so far in what I've read, they haven't. They have moments where you kind of think that they would, but then they just turn it around. They're like, nope, we're not going to have that yet.
Because I figure the more people who are Venom, the more fucked up their minds get.
No, I swear,
now we know that too many people have been Venom.
No, I swear, when Venom, the symbiote moves, they take
the memories.
They take the memories with them.
Well, they haven't. Well, the thing is that I don't know this or not. But this is what I assume, that the government did something to the symbiote to make it inert. Because then once Flash joined the Secret Avengers, they again fucked up the symbiote even more. So basically, it's been neutered. So it can't eat him.
It can't
consume him. That too. It can't spawn anymore.
I'm just joking.
But okay.
So it's basically you're currently on a rampage trying to kill all the other symbiotes.
All right. So that was the Venom comic. Say if you would rate it out of 10, what would you give it?
Honestly, probably about 8.5.
Okay.
What was the pose?
Because you're like, there can only be one!
No,
Not David Petty.